Hello everyone, my name is Angel, and this is Have Faith, Let It Begin. Always like to start off by saying thank you to GABBIE Santana for our introduction. She's an amazing up-and-coming star. I ask you to go and check out her YouTube channel, GABBIE Santana. We thank you for the song, Tested. It is amazing, and we love it. For all of you out there, we are always available on every single platforms such as iTunes, iHeartRadio. We're about to get onto Spotify. We are, of course, on Facebook, and we are on our YouTube channel. We have an email account. Check the description below. We are now on Tumblr. I'm learning how to say it right. We're, of course, on the huge platform Spreaker. Without them, we wouldn't even be on. So thank you for also being a part of, our show. And we just want to welcome each and every one of you to this episode, because this one is going to be a decent one. It's going to be a hard-hitting one. Losing friendships. We've talked a lot about friendship, but losing a friend is hard, especially when they're your best friend, especially when there's somebody you consider your sister or like a brother or brothers. Friendships are the hardest things to try to recreate, rekindle. But as I've stated before, you have to learn to forgive. You have to learn to move forward. Now, sometimes there are some things that people will do that will, I guess you can say, they're unforgettable and unforgivable. That may be true. But you still have to forgive. We have to learn to take away that stress in our lives, and even if we forgive and walk away, you should try to forgive. It will make things a lot easier and better for you. Sorry if the road is a little bumpy today. I've taken a back road. I wanted to see the scenery, and it is a little bumpy, so I apologize if you hear the noise. I want to tell you a story about the time I went to Rhode Island. And when I was there for 6 years. And for those 6 years, I made friends with a group of individuals that became a band of my brothers. We were friends even after I left Rhode Island. And it was extremely hard to discover, the fact that, well, not discover, but to basically run into a situation that lost everything that you could think of. I don't want to get into too much detail with names, because I really am not on speaking terms with them, so I have not gotten permission to use their names. So I'm going to kind of be as vague, but as somewhat detailed as I can. I hope they listen to this one day. We were inseparable. We hung out every single weekend. We did those guy things, play the Xbox, you name it. After I moved back home to New York, I visited as many times as I could. After being home for not even a year, I was accused of doing something, well, I should say I was accused of being with one of my friend's girlfriends. That was very, very surprising to me. Very, very hurtful to me. Because if anyone knows me and knows my backstory, I've been cheated on multiple times. And we're going to talk about being cheated on in a later episode. And to be accused of something like that was extremely, extremely difficult. It hurt. It made me angry. It divided the friendship. I would have never, ever done anything like that to any of my brothers, because that's not who I am. Now, I'm going to be honest. It's very easy for anybody to say they never did something, and then in the back of their minds they did it. I can't sit here and tell you that you all can, are going to say, well, Angel, I believe you, and that makes me right and makes them wrong. It is a he said, she said type of a thing. I know in my heart nothing was done, and I would have never, ever done anything to hurt anyone that was done to me. So that's how I lost one of my friends. And then I had a band of brothers. The other two, I lost. And again, we're all a band of brothers, but it happened separately. The other two, it's very dumb. This I can get detailed about. My wife and I were going through a very difficult part in our relationship. And we thought we were going to break up. And I decided that it was in our best interest to get away. So what I decided to do was take her to our, I guess you want to call it a safe place. I chose our very first trip that we ever took, and that happened to be Rhode Island. So, unbeknownst to my friends, I took a secret trip to Rhode Island. I ran into one of my friends, and, because I saw him when I was in a plaza, and I just thought it'd be rude not to say hi at that moment. So because I saw him, and when I did, I acknowledged him, and I said, "What's up?" And I said, "Listen, don't say anything to anybody. We're kind of passing through. We're not really going to be staying in Rhode Island," which is true. We were going to Martha's Vineyard, so I wasn't planning at all to be anywhere near my friends, but it was something that I had to do. Now, again, this part here is my fault, and I'll explain why. This part is my fault because I was embarrassed to tell my friends that my relationship was on the rocks. So I made the mistake in not communicating with my friends, and by doing that, it made them think that I was coming to Rhode Island without their knowledge. I know this sounds really, really petty and really, really childish, but you know what? These things happen. And some fights occur for the dumbest reasons. They really do. But that's the God's honest truth. I just didn't want my friends to know that my relationship was, at the time, I thought it was going to end. And you know what? If I would have just told them, if I would have said, "Hey guys, this is the real reason why I'm here," they would have understood. But I was embarrassed. My pride got the best of me. And believe it or not, it ended up being a huge argument that ultimately just killed the friendship. Over almost 8 years of friendship, down the tubes. Now, some of you may be listening going, "That's it?" I've heard many different things, man. I've had people do this. I've had people do that. Listen, I mean, everybody goes through it. But it's painful. And the worst part about it was, a lot of times, I think back and it hurt me because it was the year of, the next year was my wedding. So I was thinking, these were going to be the guys. They were there for my engagement. They were there, they were planning to be there for my wedding, and I lost that. But things happen for a reason. Now, here we go. Here's what I talked about in the last episode. Forgiving. Being yourself. I do not have any hate toward any of these guys, and if they're listening to this, to my brothers in Rhode Island, you will always play a huge part of my life, and I wouldn't have got through those 6 years without you, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I miss you terribly, but I wish you all the very best in your future endeavors, And if you ever want to pick up the phone and call me, feel free. I have reached out already. I have not received a word back except from one of them, and that's okay. I don't know if my microphone was too close to my mouth. Sorry about that. You have to learn to forgive. And I lost my train of thought. And as you know, I don't edit and I don't pre-write my material. I just go off the cuff. This is where I remember now. This is where this is a tough subject for me. It really is. I've never judged and never will judge people for walking in the path that they choose to walk. But this is my interpretation of this. I find out later that some of these individuals were not walking a certain path that I would have agreed to, that I would have known about. And I believe God steered me in a different direction because He knew that I wanted to do preaching. He knew that I wanted to evolve. And I don't think that keeping me in that environment was going to allow me those opportunities. So I believe that I was given that opportunity to go right, and they went left. It's the best way I can put it. It's a very, very difficult subject for me. It's harder when you really can't say names, and we have to be careful. You know, that's not the way the show is built, and it hurts. Again, I made a lot of errors in judgment on my part. I'm not saying it was their fault. A lot of it was mine. It could have been handled a lot better, but it didn't. And for that, I lost 5 friends. The point of this whole episode is not to be a Debbie Downer and to say that, Angel's upset on this one, or, this happens. It's to tell you that despite all the things that had happened, I still forgive, and I have moved on. And if they were to call me tomorrow, I would still give them, I would say, what's up? I would tell them thank you, and let them know that I'm not mad. And they shouldn't be mad either. Hopefully they're not. So if you have friends out there that have done things to you, or you've done to them, it's time to forgive. It's time to move forward. Don't put that on your back. Don't let your stress run wild on that. Be yourself. Be true to yourself. Be true to the friendship. And remember that without those people, at one point or another, they had played a huge part in your life. Have faith. Let it begin. Shout outs to everybody in East Providence, Rhode Island.